Over the past few months, I've been getting a lot of requests from you guys to create another activity book using the puzzle generator inside of BookBolt. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to lay out the interior as well as the cover of a Sudoku Puzzle Book that you can self-publish using KDP and then sell on Amazon. I'm also going to give you some tips on how to lower your print costs on this book as well as other puzzle books as well. So if you're ready, let's get to it. Hey guys, Craig here. Hope everybody's doing well. Okay, so before we jump into this, for those of you who are unfamiliar with BookBolt, it's a subscription-based website that pretty much contains everything you need to run a KDP self-publishing business. They have some incredible research tools that enable you to find profitable niches as well as heavily searched keywords. But a BookBolt subscription also comes with an intuitive desktop publishing software that enables you to create and lay out not only your book interiors, but the covers as well. And if that wasn't enough, the BookBolt Studio is also equipped with a puzzle generator, which gives you the ability to generate an unlimited amount of interiors for crossword, Sudoku, word search, word scramble, cryptogram, mazes, and more. And just know that I have a few videos in my Self-Publishing 101 playlist that show you how to create those types of books using BookBolt. And I'll put a link to that playlist at the end of this video as well. Also keep in mind that if you're interested in signing up for a subscription to BookBolt, that if you use the link and my promo code Babin that I've placed in the description section of this video, you can get 20% off the retail price. Okay, so before I jump into BookBolt and start creating my book, I'm going to have to do a little pre-production mathematics. Unlike some of the other activity books that I've created in the past, this one is going to require a little more planning on the front end. And the reason for that is because we're going to try doing something that's really going to cut down on our production costs and give us a much better royalty on our book. And what I'm going to do is, instead of putting all of my puzzle solutions on the last 150 pages at the back of my book, I'm just going to create one solution page that has a QR code and a link to the PDF document which contains all of my puzzle solutions. Then I'm going to put that PDF onto a public Google Drive so that my customers can either scan the QR code or type the link URL into the browser to download the PDF document. This is going to eliminate about 172 pages from my book, which will lower my print cost by at least $3 or more. And I'm going to walk you through how to do all of this a little bit later on in the video. But for now, we just need to focus on what we need to do to make this work. Now, because the BookBolt puzzle generator is set up in a way where you have to generate the solutions at the same time as the puzzles, and the solutions have to be placed in the interior of the book, I'm going to need to create my book as well as my puzzle solution PDF all at the same time. And this is where the pre-planning comes in. So I'm going to create the book's cover, interior, as well as the solution document all at the same time. And to do that, I first need to figure out how many pages I need for each section. So as far as the book cover goes, I'm just going to use a standard 8.5 by 11 trim size. Focusing on the book itself, I want the first page to be a This Book Belongs To page, the second page to be a copyright page, and the third and fourth pages to contain the rules on how to play Sudokus. Now I want this book to be able to compete with all of the other Sudoku puzzle books on Amazon, so I'm going to make sure that my book has just over 1,000 puzzles in it. And I also want there to be an equal number of easy, medium, and hard puzzles. So to reach that number, I'm going to place 6 puzzles on each page, and I'm going to have 56 pages for each difficulty level of puzzles. And I also want each section to be divided by its own title page. So that's going to look something like this. I'm going to have one easy puzzle title page, followed by 56 pages of easy puzzles with 6 puzzles on each page. Next, I have my medium puzzle title page, followed by 56 pages of medium puzzles. And finally, I have my hard puzzle title page, followed by 56 pages of hard Sudoku puzzles, again, 6 puzzles per page. And then my final page of the book will be my solution page, which will have the QR code and the link to the solution PDF document. So that'll give me 176 pages in total, and that will eventually be the final page count of my book. But because I need to create the puzzle solution document at the same time, I need to add more pages to this book. But don't worry, I'm eventually going to delete those extra pages before I publish. Okay, so for my puzzle solution document, I'm going to need one puzzle solution cover page. It doesn't have to be anything special. One easy puzzle solution title page, because I want my solution document to mirror my puzzle book, so I'm going to lay it out the exact same way. Then I'm going to have 56 pages of easy puzzle solutions with 6 per page, followed by one medium puzzle solution title page with another 56 pages of medium puzzle solutions. And finally, one hard puzzle solution title page, followed by 56 pages of hard puzzle solutions. This is going to add an additional 172 pages to my book interior, giving me a grand total of 348 pages in my Sudoku Puzzle Book. Now, the reason that I need to calculate all of this ahead of time is to ensure that I add enough pages to my book interior when I'm setting it up. Okay, so now that I have a pretty good idea of how I'm going to lay out this book, it's time to head over to BookBolt to start setting it up. Once you've logged into BookBolt, just head over to the left-hand menu, and at the very top, just click on the Research tab. From the drop-down menu, just choose Create. And from the Create menu, choose BookBolt Studio. Then using the same email and password, log into the BookBolt Studio. Now, if you've already used the BookBolt Studio, then your last project is what's going to be loaded onto the page. If that's the case, then all you have to do is go up to the Project tab in the top menu, click on it, and choose New Project from the drop-down menu. If you've never used the BookBolt Studio before, you'll probably be presented with the option to create a new project, and if you click on it, the menu should look something like this. Okay, so for the project type, I'm just going to choose paperback cover and interior. For the project name, I'll just call it Sudoku Puzzle Book. I'm going to use an 8.5 by 11 inch trim size. I'll choose the standard black and white interior with white paper. I'm also going to choose no bleed because I won't need bleed in this interior. And finally, I'll enter in my total page count, which includes my puzzle solution PDF document, which is 348 pages. Then I'll just click the Create Project button. Okay, so once my new project loads, you can see that the first page that appears in the document is the cover, and that it contains the KDP cover template right over top of it. Now I want to bring your attention to the width of the spine. BookBolt calculates the width of your book's spine based on how many pages you're planning on having in your interior. And every time that you add or remove a page from your book's interior, BookBolt recalculates the width of your book cover spine. Since I'm planning on removing 172 pages that contain my puzzle solutions from this book before I publish it, there's no sense in doing the cover first, because I would just have to readjust all of the graphics on the page after I remove those extra pages. So for that reason, I'm going to skip the cover for now. Now, because I need to make sure that every section of this book lines up properly, I'm going to create all of my single non-puzzle pages first. For the sake of keeping this video tutorial from going too long, I'm not actually going to stylize these pages. I'm just going to mark them. You guys can design these pages any way you want. Okay, so the first page of my book is going to be my This Book Belongs To page. I'm just going to place a simple little line of text using the text tool from the left-hand menu to mark it. Now, if you're planning to number the pages in your book, you could always make this first page your table of contents and just leave this page out. It's entirely up to you. Next, I'm going to select this text box, right-click on it, and choose Copy. That way I can just paste it on all of the other pages instead of creating a new text box every time. Always make sure that you save out your page anytime you make a change to it. If you don't, you'll lose those changes when you click on another page. You can save your workout simply by clicking on the Save button in the top menu. Okay, so my next page is going to be my copyright page. I'm just going to right-click on the page and choose Paste. Then I'm just going to click on the end of the line of text to initialize the text tool. And now I'll just change the text. Once I'm done, I'll just save out my work. Okay, page 3 is going to be my How to Play page. This is where I'm going to put the rules on how to play Sudoku. You can find the rules on how to play Sudoku pretty much anywhere on the internet. Now I'll just go up and save out this page. I'm going to leave my 4th page blank, just in case my How to Play page runs over to the next page. So if you need 2 pages to explain the rules, then use 2 pages. If you don't, then just leave this page blank. And then my 5th page is going to be my Easy Puzzles title page. Now I'm going to have easy, medium, and hard puzzles in this book, so I'm going to need to have a title page for each one of those categories. Okay, so now that I've got my first title page in place, I need to skip the next 56 pages, which will contain my easy puzzles, and then place my medium title page directly after that. Now luckily, BookBolt shows us which page we have selected right down here and here. So if I add my first 5 pages to my 56 puzzle pages, that would take me to page 61, so I need to insert my medium puzzle title page on page 62. Again, I'm just going to click Paste on the page and then change my text. And when I'm finished, I'm going to go up and save out my work. Okay, so now I have to add another 56 pages to my current 62 pages, which takes me to page 118. That means I'm going to need to insert my hard puzzle title page on page 119. I'm going to repeat what I've just done with all of the other title pages and then save out my work. And one more time, I'll add another 56 pages to my current 119 pages, which will take me to page 175. This will be my last puzzle page, so the page that follows it will be my puzzle solution QR code and link page, which is page 176 and the final page of my printed book. After making and saving this page out, it's time to create my PDF solution document. So page 177 will be my puzzle solutions cover page. This is going to be the first page of my PDF document. Again, you can stylize this page or any other of your title pages any way you want, but I'm just going to tag them for now. Now the page that follows this one is going to be my Easy Puzzle Solutions title page. Remember, you want to separate all of your puzzle solutions by easy, medium, and hard, just like you did with the puzzles themselves. So you're going to want to use title pages in this document as well. Now I'm going to name this page Easy Puzzle Solutions and save out my work. Then I'm going to skip 56 pages to insert my medium solution title page. So I'm currently on page 178, and if I add 56 to that number, it will take me to page 234. That means I'm going to place my medium puzzle solution title page on page 235. I'm going to save out my work and then add another 56 pages to page 235, which will take me to page 291. This means that I'm going to add my final hard puzzle title page to page 292. Now, if I add my last 56 pages of hard puzzle solutions to my book, it should take me to the last page of my book, which is page 348. Okay, so now that I have everything laid out, it's time to generate some puzzles. So I'm going to head over to page 6 of my book, which is the first page of my easy puzzles, and then with it selected, I'm going to click on the puzzle generator. Now, Sudoku puzzles are only available with the Pro subscription, so I'm going to click on the Pro tab. And from the Pro menu, I'm going to select Sudoku puzzles. Okay, so this next part is important. What you're going to want to do here is select every page that falls between your easy puzzle title page and your medium puzzle title page. And that amount should equal 56 pages. So what you want to do now is select your first page, which is going to be page 6, and then click the Select From To button. In the pop-up window, enter the number 6 and then click OK. Then in the next pop-up window, enter the number 61 and once again, click the OK button. Now with all of those pages selected, just click the next button at the bottom of the page. For the purpose of stylizing each of these puzzle pages, I'm going to change the units to pixels and set a 20 pixel margin all the way around. I'll set the font to Open Sans and use a bold font. A 15-point font should be big enough. Keep your font color black, keep your stroke width at 2 pixels and also black, and leave your cell color white. You're going to want 6 puzzles per page, unless you're creating a large print puzzle book. In that case, you're going to want 1 puzzle per page and 1 puzzle solution per page. Okay, so since you're creating your easy puzzles in this section, choose easy. Now you have a few different options as far as difficulty, but for this book, I'm just going to stick to using easy, medium, and hard. As far as the sizes go, you have 3 options. In my opinion, 4x4 is too easy and 16x16 is too difficult to read. So I would just use the 9x9 for the entire book. And keep in mind that even though you're keeping the puzzle size the same, the puzzles are going to get harder as you increase the difficulty. Next, you're going to want to set your solution placement to manually select solution pages, and you're going to want your solutions per page set to 6. Just keep the bleed mode set to work area. Now, just click the Next button. Okay, so here you're taken back to the pages. You can see that all of your puzzle pages have been reserved. But what you're here to do is choose your puzzle solution pages. So you're going to want to scroll down to where your solution document starts and select the 56 pages that fall between your Easy Puzzle Solution title page and your Medium Puzzle Solution title page. So in this situation, that would be page 179 to page 234. So once again, select page 179 and then click the Select From To tab in the top menu. In the pop-up window text box, type in the number 179 and then click the OK button. After that, type in the number 234 and then once again, click the OK button. All 56 of your solution pages should now be selected, so just hit the Submit button. The generator will now start creating both your puzzles and solutions. And as you can see, all 56 pages of your Easy Puzzles fall directly after your Easy Puzzle title page, and all of your Easy Puzzle Solutions fall directly after your Easy Puzzle Solution title page. Now, you're going to want to go and do the exact same thing for both your medium and hard puzzles. There are only 3 things to remember here. First, make sure that you're starting your puzzles right after the medium puzzle title page. Second, make sure that you're selecting all 56 pages for that section in the page selector menu. And finally, make sure that you're changing your difficulty level with each consecutive set of puzzles to the proper setting. All of the other settings can stay the same. Choose your solution pages and then hit the submit button. It's the exact same process that we just went through. For the sake of saving time, I'm just going to fast forward through the generation of the hard puzzles. Now some of you are probably thinking, wow, that was pretty easy. I should be able to make at least 10 of these books per day, right? Yeah, well, this is the point of the video where I'm about to piss on your parade. You see, you could just publish your books like this, but you probably wouldn't sell any. And even if you did, you'd probably get horrible reviews. Because these pages need to be stylized. I mean, how are customers going to know which puzzle goes with which solution? So this next part, although not very difficult, is going to be a little time consuming. So here's what you're going to need to do. Go back to your first Easy Puzzle page and select the group of puzzles. Make sure that you have your snap turned on at the bottom of the page. Now, I want you to drag these puzzles over to the right until the edge of the puzzles are touching the right side margin line. Make sure that you see the little green dotted line going through the middle of the page. That lets you know that your puzzles are centered from top to bottom. What you want to do next is break these 6 puzzles apart. To do that, select them, right-click on them, and choose Edit Contents from the pop-up menu. And if any BookBolt programmers are watching this video, you may want to consider working on your numbering. Okay, so now each of these puzzles are separate. So what we're going to do first is zoom in on the top row of puzzles, group select them, and then using our up arrow key on our keyboard, we're going to just bring the puzzles up to the top margin. So that's about 4 clicks. Now I'm just going to go down to the bottom of the page and group select the bottom 2 puzzles. Then using my down arrow key, I'm going to move these puzzles down 4 clicks as well. As you can see, I still have some space left between the margin and the puzzles, and I want to keep all of my spacing equal. So I'm going to zoom out and group select all of the puzzles and then center them to the page one more time. Now I'm just going to go back up to the top 2 puzzles and nudge them right up against the margin. Then, when I'm done, I'll do the exact same thing with the bottom 2 puzzles. Okay, so now I have pretty good spacing between my puzzles vertically. I just need to add some spacing horizontally. Now I'm already over as far as I can go to the right-hand margin. So what I'm going to do is select all 3 of the left side puzzles and using my left arrow key, nudge them over about 21 clicks. I want the space between the left margin and the left-hand side of these 3 puzzles to be the same as the space between each of these 2 sets of puzzles. Now what I'm going to do is grab my text tool, I'm going to choose heading from the menu, and I'm just going to change the wording to read Easy 1, all caps. Next, I'm going to click off of the text and close my menu. Now I'm going to reselect my text, and up in the text menu, I'm going to reduce the size to a 16-point font. While you're here, make sure that your text is center justified. This is going to be important. Before I go any further, I'm going to lock out my Sudoku puzzle layers by clicking on the 3 little dots on the right-hand side of the Sudoku folder layer and choosing Lock. This will keep me from accidentally moving any of these puzzles. Now, I'm just going to grab this top control arm on my text box and rotate the text 90 degrees to the left. Then I'm going to place the text just to the left of my first puzzle so that the 3 little white dots on the control box are just slightly touching my puzzle grid. And I'm going to attempt to line up this middle white dot perfectly centered between these 2 lines of my puzzle grid. Now the easiest way to line up all of your other text is just to create a rectangle. Make it some other color than black. Then size it so that it fits perfectly between the bottom of the text and the puzzle grid. Then just extend it all the way down your page just past the middle of your 3rd puzzle. Once you've done that, right-click on it and duplicate it. Then just move the duplicate rectangle over to the next column of puzzles and make sure that it's touching the edge of them as well. Now just lock out these 2 rectangle layers. Once you've gotten them in place, just select your text box and right-click on it and choose Duplicate. Then drag the duplicate text down to the 2nd puzzle and line it up. And once it's lined up, right-click on it, duplicate it, and drag the duplicate down to the third puzzle. Once you have the text lined up for all three of these puzzles, select all three text boxes, right-click on them, and choose Duplicate one more time. Then just drag the duplicates over to the right column of puzzles and just line up the center one. Now that you have all of your text boxes lined up properly, unlock the rectangle box layers and delete them. All you have to do now is just go back to each of those text boxes and change the number. Once you've got them all renumbered, select them all, right-click on them, and group them together. You can also rename this group to text. Now just save out your page. All you have to do now is select your text group, right-click on it, and choose Copy. Then start off by scrolling down to all of the even pages, click anywhere outside of the artboard, and choose Paste. That text is lined up perfectly to where it needs to be. You just need to space out your puzzles the same way that you did your first page. So paste this text group on all of the even pages. This includes your easy, medium, and hard puzzles, as well as your easy, medium, and hard puzzle solution pages, because you're going to have to space out all of those puzzle pages as well. Then when you're done that, go back to your first puzzle page and then select the page right after it. It's going to be your first odd page. Now you'll notice that when you click on it, that the gutter margin is on the opposite side. The gutter is on the right side of all of the even pages and on the left side of all the odd ones. Now this text is still lined up properly, it's just not in the right place. So lock your text layer and then start to spread these puzzles out the exact same way you did on the even page. You're going to move all of the puzzles over to the right-hand margin and then ungroup them. Then you're going to nudge the top two puzzles up 4 clicks and the bottom two puzzles down 4 clicks. Once that's done, you're going to reselect all 6 puzzles and recenter them to the page. After that, you're going to select the top 2 puzzles one more time and nudge them up until they touch the top margin. Then you're going to do the exact same thing with the bottom 2 puzzles. Once they're all lined up, you're going to select the left 3 puzzles and nudge them over to the left 21 clicks using your left arrow key. Once you have all of these puzzles lined up, just lock the Sudoku folder layer. Now unlock your text layer and using your right arrow key, just move the text into place. Just do your best to make sure that the space is equal between the text and the puzzle grids in both columns. After that's done, ungroup your text layer and just go and change all of the numbers. Remember, this is the page that follows your first page, so the numbering is going to be 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Once that's done, select all of the text boxes, group them together, and then rename the group to text. Then right-click on the group and choose Copy. Then just save out your page. Now just go to all of your odd pages and paste the text. All of these text boxes will now be perfectly aligned to the puzzles on the odd pages once you spread them out. I would leave all the numbered text as it is right now and start spacing out all of the puzzles on each page first. Once that's done, then go back and change the numbering on each of the text boxes. I think it'll be just easier to keep track of that way. Now it's quite obvious that this is going to take some time, but taking these extra steps to make your book look professional could be the difference between selling a few thousand books and not selling any at all. So it's time well spent. Okay, so once you have all of your puzzle pages and solution pages laid out, and you've stylized your title and cover pages the way that you want them, it's time to work on your book's cover. But before we can do that, we first have to remove the puzzle solution PDF document from out of our book. If we don't, our book's spine will be the wrong width and it will throw our cover graphics off completely. So to do that, what we're going to do is clone this project. And we do that by going up to the Project tab in the top menu and choosing Clone Project from the drop-down menu. We'll just call it Sudoku Puzzle Solutions and click OK. We're going to be asked if we want to open that clone project. Say yes. Okay, so now we're in our clone project. You can tell that by looking at the title at the bottom of the artboard. So here's what you're going to do next. We're going to have to select all of the 176 pages that come before the Sudoku Puzzle Solution cover page of our PDF document and delete them. Unfortunately, you're going to have to hold down your Shift key or your Control key and select each page one at a time. I don't recommend selecting all 176 pages at one time. If you accidentally click off one of the pages, you'll have deselected all of the previous pages that you've just initially selected. So just select and delete about 30 pages or so at a time. Once you've deleted all of your puzzle pages, title pages, as well as the This Book Belongs To page, the copyright page, and the How to Play pages, all you should have left is your book's cover and the PDF document with your puzzle solutions in it. Now just go up to the Download tab in the top menu, and from the drop-down menu, choose Download Current Project RGB. BookBolt will now render out this project. When it's done, it will place it in your Downloads folder on your computer. Now remember, these projects come zipped in an RAR zip file, so you'll have to unzip it by right-clicking on it and choosing Extract Files here. You're going to have 3 files in here: the source folder, which you can delete, the cover PDF, which you can also delete, and your Puzzle Solutions PDF document, which you are going to want to rename to Sudoku Puzzle Solutions. And if I open it up, you can see that it contains my Puzzle Solutions cover page, my Easy Puzzle Solutions title page, as well as all of my solutions for all of the 1,000 plus puzzles that are in my book. Only your puzzle solution pages are going to be laid out properly, not like this. Now you can just set this document aside for now, and then head back over to BookBolt. Once inside of BookBolt, go up to the Project tab, and in the top menu, from the drop-down menu, choose My Projects. This is going to give you a list of all of your projects, and you're going to want to delete this clone project that you just rendered out. Once you've done that, click the original project to open it up inside of the studio. Now, do you see how wide the spine is on this cover page? We need to fix that, and to do that, we need to delete every page after the Sudoku Puzzle Book solution link page on. This solution link page is going to be the last page of our printed book, so just delete everything after it. If you start getting annoyed while deleting all of these pages, just remind yourself that every page you delete lowers your print costs and therefore raises your royalty. Okay, so once you have all of those extra pages deleted, you have all of your puzzle pages laid out properly, and you have all of your title, copyright, and This Book Belongs To page and How to Play pages stylized the way you want them, it's time to work on your book's cover. And we can do that now because we've deleted all of those extra pages, and as a result, our book's spine is the proper width for our finished book. Okay, so before I actually start laying out my cover, because BookBolt still doesn't offer the ability to create gradients or flatten transparencies, I'm going to have to create my background image in Photoshop. For those of you who don't have access to Photoshop, you can just use photop.com. Now before I jump into Photoshop, I need to download a cover template from KDP just to make sure that all of my graphics are in the proper places. You can download a cover template using KDP's cover calculator, and I'll put a link to it in the description section of this video. On this calculator, all we're going to be doing is filling out our information about our book. So I'm going to choose paperback, black and white paper, left to right for the page turn, inches for the units, 8.5 by 11 for the interior trim size, and my page count is going to be 176. Now I'll just click on the Calculate Dimensions button. Once it's finished calculating, I'll click the Download Template button. This template should now have saved in your Downloads folder on your computer. Once again, this document comes encased in an RAR zip folder, so you're going to have to extract it by right-clicking on it and choosing Extract Files here. Now what I want is the PNG file, so I'm going to right-click on it and choose Open with Photoshop. You want to do that to make sure that it's opening up at the proper size. Okay, so once I've got it opened in Photoshop, I'm going to select the template layer and change the mode to multiply, and then I'm going to go and lock it out. I'm also going to rename it to Template. Next, I'm going to create a new layer by going down to the menu at the bottom of the layer stack and clicking on the little plus icon. I'm going to drag that new layer below my template layer and rename it to Background. Now with that layer selected, I'm going to go over to my left-hand toolbar and select my Gradient tool. If you don't see it, it's located under the Bucket Fill tool. Now I'm going to go up to my Gradient menu on the top of the page and choose my gradient from the Gradient Picker. I'm going to choose something from the Reds folder. I think I'm going to use this one right here. I'm going to make sure that I have my gradient set to radial, and then I'm going to double click on the gradient swatch to open up the gradient menu. So these two reds are not the red colors that I want. So I'm going to start by changing the dark red color by clicking on this tiny little color marker on the left-hand side of the slider. Once the color picker opens up, I'm going to move my slider all the way to the very top of the chart so that I can get the purest red. Then I'm going to move my color picker all the way over to the far right and about halfway down. This is the dark red that I actually want for my cover. Now I'll just click the OK button. Okay, so now that I have my dark red selected, I'm going to double click on the light red color marker, and I'm going to do the exact same thing that I just did last time. Move the slider to the very top and then move my color picker all the way to the right. Only this time I'm going to move it to the very top corner. This is the light red that I want. Now that I have both of these colors set up, I'm going to click the OK button at the top of the gradient editor. With my gradient tool still selected, I'm going to place my cursor right about in the middle of my front cover and about 3/4 of the way down. Then, holding down my left mouse, I'm going to drag my cursor over to about the middle of my back cover and about 1/4 of the way down from the top. I'm looking to get a nice red glow that originates from the front cover and that slowly dissipates over to the back. I also want to keep a little bit of darkness around the corners of the front cover, kind of like a vignette. Now, if what you're seeing on your page is the opposite of what I have on mine, meaning that you have a dark spot on your front cover that gets brighter as it goes to the back, then just go up to the gradient menu at the top of the page and turn on the reverse button. Now, just drag out your gradient one more time. It doesn't have to be perfect, just as long as you have a nice subtle transition from light to dark. Okay, so once you have your gradient looking the way you want it, lock out the gradient layer. Now you're going to want to create a new layer using the plus icon at the bottom of the page, name the layer numbers, and leave it on top of your template layer. Okay, so what you're going to be doing here is laying out some random numbers. To do that, I'm going to select my text tool from the left-hand toolbar, then I'm going to go up to the top menu and center justify my text and change my text color to white. Next, I'm going to go over to my character tab in the right-hand menu. If you don't see this tab, just go up to the window tab in the top menu and open it from there. And I'm going to change the font type to Adobe Caslon Pro. You can use whatever font you want. I just like this one because it has really nice serifs on it. I'm also going to change the weight from regular to bold. Okay, so all I'm going to do now is start placing random numbers from 0 to 9 all over my cover. I'm going to vary the font size as well as the rotations. And I'm going to try to stick to the outskirts of both the front and back covers. I'm not too worried about the inner areas because all of that's going to be covered by graphics. To move my text around, resize it, and rotate it, I'm just using my selection tool. That's the one at the very top of your left-hand toolbar. Instead of continuously creating a new text layer with my text tool, once I have a number positioned, I'm simply holding down my Alt key, which puts my cursor into duplicate mode, and then I'm dragging my duplicate number to another spot on my page. Once I get all of my numbers in place, I can just switch over to my text tool and then change them all at once. Every time I position a number, I'm making sure to click on the check mark in the top menu to release it. Once you have all of your numbers properly placed on your front cover, to save yourself some time, just group select them all, hold down your Alt key, and drag the duplicate group over to the back of your cover. Now before you release them, go up to the Edit tab in the top menu, down to Transform in the drop-down menu, and choose Rotate 180 degrees. Next, just group select all of the numbers and then right-click on the layers and choose Convert to Smart Object. This will merge them together as one object. Now go up to the Mode setting and change it to Overlay. Next, lock out this layer and rename it to Numbers Dark. Now you're going to grab your text tool one more time and you're going to create more random numbers, only this time they're going to be a little bit smaller and they're going to be in the gaps between all of your other numbers. Just do it exactly the same way you did last time. Duplicate one number multiple times in different sizes and rotations, and then when you're done, go back and change all of the numbers at once. Once you're done, group select all of those numbers, hold down your Alt key, and drag the duplicate numbers over to the back cover. Before you release them, go up to the Edit tab in the top menu, down to Transform, and choose Rotate 180 degrees. Position them exactly where you want them, and then group select all of the new numbers, right-click on the layer, and choose Convert to Smart Object. Once you've done that, go up to the Mode setting and change it to Soft Light. Doing this will create the illusion that those new numbers are further away. This is going to give your book cover the appearance of depth. When you're done, make sure that both of those number layers are locked out. Okay, before we leave this background image, I just want to add a little bit of movement to it. So the first thing I'm going to do is zoom out just a bit. Next, I'm going to grab my pen tool from the left-hand toolbar, and I'm going to place a control point just off to the left side of my artboard by clicking with my left mouse button. Then I'm going to place a second control point just a little higher up past the center of my book cover, but I'm not going to let go of my left mouse button this time. This time, I'm going to keep pressing down on it while I drag my cursor over to the right. I'm going to maneuver my control arm in a way that creates a nice little curve between the two control points. Once I have the curve the way I want it, I'm going to let go of my left mouse button and then place another control point off to the right side of my artboard, only this time it's going to be much lower than my last one. This one I don't have to hang on to. Once that control point is in place, I'm going to create two more, here and here. And then I'm going to click on my first control point to close off the shape. Okay, so this isn't the color that I want my shape to be. So to change the color, I'm just going to double click on the icon in my shape layer. This will open up my color picker. Next, I'm going to drag my cursor over to the darkest section of my book cover and click on it with my eyedropper. Then I'm just going to click the OK button. What I'm going to do now is change the mode of this layer to multiply, and then I'm going to lower the opacity to about 30%. Then I'm going to drag this layer down to the little plus icon in the bottom menu to duplicate it. Now I'm going to move the duplicate layer below the original layer, and then using my up arrow key on my keyboard, I'm going to nudge this layer up a little bit higher. Once I've done that, I'm going to lower the opacity of this layer down to 20%. Now I can't leave these two layers with lowered opacities. I need to flatten them. To do that, I'm going to select both layers, right-click on them, and choose Convert to Smart Object. This will merge them together and bring the opacity back to 100%. And the last thing I'm going to do is go back up to the mode setting and change this new layer back to multiply. Now I can just rename this layer to wave and lock it out. So the first thing you want to do is save this document out as a PSD file so that you can come back to it if you need to make some changes later on. Then you're going to export it out as a PNG. This would probably be a good time to create a project folder for this book. That way, you can save this background PNG as well as this PSD working file and your Sudoku Puzzle Solutions PDF that you created earlier on, all in the same spot. Now we're going to head back over to Bookbolt and start creating our cover. So the first thing I'm going to want to do is make sure that I'm on my cover page. Next, I'm going to click on the File Library icon in the left-hand menu to open up my image library. Once inside, I'm going to click on the Upload Image icon and find the cover image that I just created in Photoshop. Once it's finished uploading, I'm going to click on it and add it to my artboard. Once it's on my artboard, I'm just going to resize it so that the image is slightly overlapping the edge of my cover. Next, I'm going to rename this layer Background and I'm going to lock it out. Whenever you make a modification to your page, it's always a good idea to save out your document. To start off, I'm going to focus on the back cover just to get it out of the way. So I'm going to create the partition for the text. To do that, I'm just going to go up to my element icon in my left-hand tool menu, and from the pop-up menu, I'm going to choose a rectangle. The first thing that I'm going to do is change the color. To do that, I'm going to click on the color swatch in the top menu, and then inside of the color picker, I'm going to click on my eyedropper tool. Then I'm going to hover my cursor just above the bottom left-hand corner of my background image. Now that I've got my color chosen, I'm also going to be adding a stroke to this rectangle. To do that, I'm just going to go up to the stroke color swatch in the top menu and click on it. Then I'm going to choose the color white, set the stroke to about 15 pixels, and then click OK. Now I'm going to resize this rectangle and center it to my page. Make sure that you have your snap turned on at the bottom of the page while you're doing this. Okay, so I actually want to have a double stroke on this partition. So what I'm going to do is select the partition, right-click on it, and choose Duplicate. Then I'm going to go over to my Layer menu and lock out the top rectangle. Next, I'm going to select the bottom rectangle layer and then go up to my top menu and change the stroke weight to 25 pixels. Now I'm just going to resize that rectangle so that it's slightly larger than my top rectangle. I'm also going to make sure that it's perfectly centered to my page. Next, I'm going to go back up to the top rectangle layer and unlock it. Then I'm going to group select both rectangle layers, right-click on them, and choose Group Objects. Now I'm going to go back to my Layer menu, rename this layer to Partition, and then lock it out. And finally, I'll save out my work. Okay, so one of the things that I want on my front cover of my book is a copy of one of my Sudoku puzzles. So I'm going to go down to my first Sudoku puzzle page, unlock one of the puzzles, right-click on it, and choose Copy. Then I'm going to go back to the Layer menu, relock the layer, and then hit the Save button at the top of the page. Next, I'm going to go back to my cover page, right-click on my cover, and choose Paste. Now I'm going to resize the puzzle and make sure that it's centered horizontally to my page. Don't worry about placing it in the exact spot vertically just yet. We can always move it later on. You just want to make sure that it's centered horizontally. Next, I'm going to add a little more stylization to this puzzle by adding a double stroke to it. To do that, I'm just going to go to my Elements tool and select a square. With the square selected, I'm going to change the fill color to white and the stroke to black. I'm also going to set the stroke weight to 15 pixels. I'm choosing 15 because I want it to match the weight of my inside partition stroke. Always be trying to duplicate elements of your book cover to keep it cohesive. It just ties everything in. Now I'm going to move this square layer below my puzzle layer and then resize it so that it's slightly overlapping my puzzle. I'm also going to make sure that it's perfectly centered horizontally as well. Next, I'm going to go over to the layer menu and unlock my puzzle layer and then group select both my puzzle layer and my square. Then I'm going to right click on them and choose Group Objects. After that, I'm just going to rename the layer back to Puzzle and lock it out. Then I'll save out my work. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is print out all of the text that I want for my front cover. I'm going to start with the largest text on the front cover, which will be the word Sudoku. So I'm going to select my text tool from the left-hand menu and choose Heading. With the text still selected, I'm going to change the wording to Sudoku. Then I'm going to click off of my text and then reselect it. I'm just doing that to get it out of the edit mode. Next, I'm going to go up to the top menu and transform the text to uppercase by clicking on this little icon here. Now I'm going to make sure that my text is center justified by clicking on this icon here. Finally, I'm going to change my font color to white using the swatch icon. Now I don't want to use this particular font, so I'm going to go up to my font menu and from the drop down, I'm going to choose a font called Anton. Next, I'm going to go back up to my text menu and resize my font using this icon here. I want the font to be about the width of my puzzle. I'm also going to add about 10 points of spacing between each letter, just so that I can incorporate a drop shadow. Once I have it sized the way I want, I'm going to click OK. Now this font is traditionally very tall, and I don't like that. So with it selected, I'm just going to grab this little middle control point on the bottom of my text box, and I'm going to raise it up a bit, just to make the text a little bit shorter. Next, I'm going to position the text to where I want it vertically on the page. I want this little top control point to be sitting directly between the top margin and the edge of my book cover. I'm also going to make sure that my text is centered horizontally to my page. So now that I know where my main text is going to sit on my page, I can lay out everything else according to that. Okay, so before I leave this text, I want to create a slight drop shadow for it. To do this, I'm simply going to select it, right click on it, and choose Duplicate. Then I'm going to go over to my layer menu and lock out my top layer of the text. Now I'm going to select my bottom layer of text and change the color to black. With it still selected, I'm going to use my down and right arrow keys on my keyboard to nudge it slightly down and over to the right. You don't want to go too far. 3 clicks down and 3 clicks to the right should do. I could just use the drop shadow tool, but I find that I have a little more control doing it this way. Now go back over to the layer menu, unlock the top text layer, and then group select both text layers. Right click on them and choose Group Objects. Then go back to the layer menu, rename this new layer to Sudoku, and lock out the layer. Finally, save out your project. Now the next piece of text that I want to add are the words 1000 plus puzzles. So I'm going to grab my text tool and I'm going to choose Heading. Then I'm going to click on the text and change it to read 1000 plus puzzles. Next, I'm going to click off of it and reselect it. Now I'm going to change the weight to bold. I'm going to make sure that the letters are all uppercase, and I'm going to center justify them. I'm going to set the font size to about 56 points and the character spacing to about -10. And I'm going to leave the font color black. Now I'm going to center it horizontally, and I'm going to leave a nice little gap between the word Sudoku and this line. I'm also going to reposition my puzzle so that it's sitting directly at the bottom of this new line of text. Before I create my next text, I'm going to move this new text down in my layer stack. I just like keeping everything in the order that it appears on my page. Okay, so now I'm going to select the new text, right click on it and choose Duplicate. Then I'm going to go up to the layer menu and lock out the original text layer. Now I'm going to drag the copy text layer down below my puzzle. I'm going to change it to read easy to hard, and then I'm going to click off of it and reselect it. Next, I'm going to change the font color to white, and I'm going to reduce the font size to about 40 points. I'm going to leave about the same size gap between my text and the bottom of my puzzle as I left between my word Sudoku and my 1000 plus puzzle text. Then I'm going to go over to the layer stack and drop this text down below my puzzle layer. Once again, I'm going to select it, right click on it, and choose duplicate. Then I'm going to go back up to the layer stack and lock out the original layer. Now I'm going to move this duplicate layer off to the side and I'm going to change the text to read for adults. I'm going to click off of it and reselect it, change the font color to black, center justify it, and reduce it to about 30 points and bring the character spacing to about -50. Then I'm going to move the text over to the bottom right hand corner of my front cover and I'm going to rotate it 45 degrees. I want the letters S and F to be touching my margin. Finally, I'm going to move this layer down below my easy to hard layer in my layer stack and then lock it out. Now just by looking at this, I can already tell that I have too much space at the bottom. So what I'm going to do is unlock the first 4 layers all the way down to my easy to hard text, group select them all, and then reposition them until they snap to the center both horizontally and vertically. Now don't worry if there appears to be a little more space at the bottom now, that's okay. Next, I'm going to lock all of those layers back up and save out my work. And finally, I'm going to create my back cover text. Now I'm not going to go into what you should write here, that's entirely up to you. I'm just going to copy and paste a little blurb so that you can see what it looks like. But just make sure that you're promoting your author URL page at the bottom. And don't put any text below this point here, because this is where KDP is going to place your barcode. For the font, I'm just using regular multi-line text, open sans, semi-bold, center justified. Okay, so now I'm going to move that text layer down in the stack just above my partition layer and lock it out. Then I'm going to save out my work. All I have to do now is create 3 partitions for these 3 remaining lines of text. To do this, I'm just going to select my Elements tool and I'm just going to use rectangles. For the first one, I'm just going to make it dark yellow and I'm going to size it so that both ends of it cover the top corners of my puzzle. I'm also going to go up to the corner radius setting, change the units to pixels, and set the value to about 130. This tool can sometimes glitch in BookBolt, so you may have to play with it a bit. Okay, so this is where all of your setting tools go out the window and you just start using your control boxes to resize. What you're looking to achieve is a partition that covers the top corners of your puzzle and ends at the top inside line of your puzzle grid. You want to make sure that your text has a nice healthy padding around it. And if you have to resize the text to make it fit using the control box, then do it. Don't worry if you're getting too close to the word Sudoku. You can always bump that up a little later on. So just play around with the partition, the puzzle text, and the Sudoku text until you get something that works. You're looking for something that kind of looks like this. Once you get that, lock out all of those layers with the exception of the partition layer and save out your work. Now I want you to select the top partition, right click on it, and choose duplicate. Then go back to the layer menu and lock out the original partition layer. Next, drag the new layer down below the easy to hard text. Now all you have to do is just resize it the same way you did the last one. If you need to resize the text, then do it. Because you're shrinking it down in size, you may want to bump up the border radius a touch just to round off the ends better. Once you've got it lined up properly, you're going to want to change the fill color to the same color as the back partition and add a white stroke around it so that it matches the back cover. You always want to be trying to tie in the front and back graphics of your cover. Again, play around with it until you get the look that you want. Once you have it looking the way you want, rename the layer to bottom partition, lock out the layer, and save your work. Okay, the last partition is just going to be a 45-degree banner. The easiest way to create this is to unlock the top partition layer, select it, right-click on it, and choose Duplicate. Then lock the original layer back out and move the duplicate banner layer down in the layer stack below the For Adults text. Now rename the layer to Banner, drag it down to the bottom of the page, resize it, and rotate it 45 degrees to the left. Again, just keep playing with it until you get it looking the way you want it. Once it's done, lock out that layer. Now if you notice that you have more space at the bottom of your page, or vice versa, then just unlock all of the layers that you need to reposition and just move them up or down accordingly. Once you have everything positioned the way you want it, just save out your work and your Sudoku Puzzle Book is done. Now if you need some ideas on how to stylize these single pages, just go over to Amazon, click on a couple of different puzzle books, and using the Look Inside feature, see how other publishers are doing it. Don't copy them, just get some inspiration. When everything in your book is completely finished, go up to the Download tab in the top menu, and from the drop-down menu, choose Download Current Project RGB. Your project will be downloaded to the Downloads folder on your computer and will be packed in an RAR zip file. Once you extract it, you'll find a PDF document for your book cover and a PDF document for your book's interior, both of which are ready to upload to KDP. And just keep in mind that you can use any gradient color for your background image. I mean, it does look good in red, but it would also look good in blue, green, orange, purple, or any other color for that matter. Now, we're not finished just yet. We need to prepare our QR code for our solution page. So the first thing that you need to do is log into your Google account. Next, go up to the Google Apps icon in the top right-hand corner and click on it. From the pop-up menu, choose Drive. Okay, once inside of Google Drive, click on the plus new button at the top of the left-hand menu. Then from the drop-down menu, choose File Upload. Next, go find your puzzle solution PDF file and select it. Then click the Open button. Your PDF file will now be uploaded to your Google Drive. Once it's finished uploading, click on the share icon next to the file size. You're going to want to choose the option of anyone with a link. After selecting that option, click the Copy Link button and then click Done. Now you can go on to Google and just search for a free QR code generator, and there are tons of them out there. I myself personally like to use Adobe Express. Now, the Adobe QR code generator isn't supported by Firefox, so you're going to need to use your Chrome browser. I'll put a link to Adobe Express in the description section of this video. All you have to do is click the Create QR Code Now button. Then paste the link that you copied from your Google Drive into the text box. Now, you're supposed to sign in to download the QR code, and it's free to sign up, but if you don't want to, then you don't have to. Just right-click on the image and save it to your computer. It still works just fine. So what you're going to want to do is place that QR code image on the last page of your book, which is your solution page. Now, for people who aren't too tech savvy, you may want to put the actual URL link in as well. But don't use the Google link, it's too long. Just go to a free URL shortener like bit.ly.ws and shorten it there. All you have to do is paste the link into the text box and hit the shorten button. The link that appears in bold below it is your shortened link. And if you copy and paste this link into a fresh web browser, you can see that it takes you right to your PDF document on your Google Drive. So just add this short link to your puzzle solution page. And again, if you want to get some inspiration on how to lay out one of these pages, just go to Amazon and check out some of the other puzzle books that are doing it. Okay, so hopefully this video has given you some ideas on how to create your own Sudoku book to sell on Amazon. And keep in mind that if you want to save 20% off a subscription to BookBolt, I have an affiliate link in the description section of this video that you can use to do that. Just make sure to use my promo code CraigBabin when you sign up to get the discount. And if you're new to my channel and you'd like to learn how to create even more activity books using BookBolt, or you'd just like to learn a little bit more about self-publishing in general, then be sure and check out my playlist, Self-Publishing 101. It has everything you'll need to get your self-publishing business up and running, and you can find a link to it right here. Until next time, take care.